parts are getting harder to find. Caelandia's army only took the best, and the best of them trained on Trigger Hill. The Triggers believed they were nothing without their rifles. Nothing beats the feel of shooting a Caelandian army carbine. Sometimes you had to take care to steady your shot. The Triggers had clearance to modify their guns however they chose. Some felt the course was too easy, so the Triggers spiced things up a bit. Takes time to be a fast shot. Go figure. If you want to master the art of the firearm, then the place to go is Trigger Hill. Sometimes you had to shoot from the hip. Had to keep moving to avoid getting burned. The kid ain't bad, but the Triggers were better. His ears must be ringing after all that shooting. Not everything blew up in the Calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Culver. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Cauldron's fires became an addiction. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. The unforgiving scent of sulfurous dirt. Taste the air so hot it sticks to your lungs. torch off and things crawling underfoot. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. We kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. Place is inhospitable as they come. But still we pressed on. inside Culford Cauldron. Look down through all the smoke and flames. We saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Johnson Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Pops open on him like a pimple on a school day. Where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. Shed any tears for him, though. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. Gotta watch your fingers around that little guy. Now we can light them up or pin them down. Maybe both. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. The Triggers, my brothers, bravest men I ever knew. At least it won't get cold around here with that thing around. On the inside, a fire bellows ain't nothing like its more popular air-spitting cousin. Gotta make sure the pointy end's fastened on real tight. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zand. Welcome to Grady Incinerator, home of the hottest wings east of Caelondia. In all seriousness, the incinerator was a dump, and it had a problem with peckers. Blasted things would swoop in and spread trash all around, until we started using fire. We couldn't just torch them all at once. We had to use restraint. Tooth and nail for all that trash. we kept the city clean. We put all our trash in a gritty incinerator. Hackers that flock together were easy pickings. Keeping the incinerator clean was a paying job, but not a pleasant one. Wasn't any other way to teach those peckers some respect. Who knows why we fought so hard to defend our own trash? Can't rightly call Mount Zand a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. So they figure they'll hold out right here, on a slab of mountain the Calamity forgot. Those beasts been hoarding all the valuables they could find. We only found their little lair because they found themselves a little shard. Good thing for those beasts the Calamity saved leftovers. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. Without a doubt, the situation stinks. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. There's only one kind of mercy left these days. Look at it this way. It's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our Bastion is everybody's game, not just ours. It's a delicate situation. What the city left behind, those beasts took for themselves. Takes a lot of convincing, and our mortars have to do the talking. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. That's the way. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Fixed that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier. Suppose it's true a little song can put things in perspective. A pike and a galleon mortar. Now that's some terror from the high seas. A sip of lunkhead liqueur will toughen you up. Too bad it's like drinking a saddlebag. Without an insulated air intake, that thing's liable to blow up on you. We need getting awful big, lost and found under the circumstances. Culture, a still life of old unwanted keepsakes. The cinders kept the city good and warm, made it thrive. The conscience, we haven't lost everything, long as we have that. You don't know what to say. I'll save my thanks for when it's all over. Just a couple shards left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Celandia's armada was a glorious sight, and our ship's mortars were unstoppable. At Boundless Bay, our Navy put those mortars through a rigorous inspection. Had to use squirts to simulate explosive impact on the surface of the sea. Choosing targets with those mortars was one of the trickiest parts. Galleon skippers needed to be patient, needed to fire at just the right times. Sounds like the kids' mortars in tip-top shape. If you got a thing for heavy artillery, then I've got the place for you. A variety of modifications could be used to enhance the power of a mortar. If a galleon mortar couldn't squish enough squirts, it was simply replaced. You had to be crazy to want to swim in Boundless Bay. Too bad about the Armada, but at least one of those mortars survived. Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Caelondia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes a burststone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity. We bought the whole place from the Ura on the cheap. The quarry ain't exactly up to safety standards no more. Same goes for its natives, rattletails. Why would the Ura put up with those pests? Rattletails ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nesting in those rocks. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. The quarry's secrets ain't exactly obvious. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Rattletails filled the place with holes. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Without those windbags, the quarry might not have its special qualities. Windbags tended to the rocks, so we had to keep the rattletails at bay. Even stink eyes started taking root in here. Now, why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. Might Maybe the gods told him the quarry's bad news. On top of that, you know the Brura hated anything above ground. Might be the quarry just got too much sunshine. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. Single core can keep the lights on in an entire city district. The smaller ones, we call them shards. The shards got a fraction of the core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. That massive thing stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. The only thing harder than the rocks first in the quarry is Sir Lunky's head. Stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. "Are you all right?" it says. It's him. "I've come to warn you," he says. "The Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back." Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. "If that's the way it is," he says, "then I won't stop you." Because my countrymen will. Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Too bad for that. Zulf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. I should have told him sooner about all this. To make matters worse, seems the Ura took the girl. Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their hole. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop him, but we needed help. Somehow, some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zulf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. For the Calamity. It was Caelondia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zulf knew the whole story. The shards can put this disease in remission. But there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. What were we to think? They must have got her, taken her back to her rightful home. The Mercy. The windbags ain't the only beast that drew a bad lot. The skippers delivered us from the motherland. Sometimes I want to ask him, why do any of this? But truth is, I don't want to know. Stick him and cook him, or the other way around. Makes no difference. A solid frame can put an extra sting in every slice. The city, its riches, nothing but fragments now. It wasn't fixed, it was unbroken. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. Absinthe is like drinking a cool breeze. Just don't go spitting needles everywhere. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. Now all we need is one last shard. The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Kids taking every precaution before setting off in search of you-know-who. Seems Zia's cooking got the best of him. The calamity can be undone, but it's important to understand why it happened. Zolf said the calamity failed, and he's right. The Ura stand is living proof of that. calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. Wanted to rule it out. We put a lot of folks against that problem. Scientists, soldiers, spies, even me. We sought solutions far beyond the city. We traveled near as far as the kid's going right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our came from an a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Ven worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last living in the Tassel terminals will be gone. This discovery was never to be used, they said, except as a last resort. But Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. sabotaged the Mancer's new science project, set it to blow up in their faces. Imagine how Van must have felt when they finally made him pull that trigger. We're lucky to be alive. Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. Seems too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. For now, Kid had little choice but to pick up where the Calamity left off. First things first, though. There's someone we figured needed rescuing. Zia. The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already.